bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come together tonight to address the concerns of our city and community. May we be united in finding solutions and answers that help us to find your will. And we pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Little louder. I heard that, but it sounded soft. I'm on a roll. This button. All right. Rules of decorum are in effect. We know how it is. I expect everybody to be adults. We don't have to agree on things, but show respect to each other. That's all we're asking. Okay? This country was founded on the freedom of having our own thoughts. Let's remember that. Okay? There's a lot of hatred out there when somebody doesn't believe what somebody else believes. We can still be neighbors and not agree on things. So let's remember that when we talk and show each other that respect. All right, first thing is going to be citizens' comments. Miss Trudy, where you at? You're up.
Hi guys, Trudy Westner, 43 Fireside Drive. I wanted to hit on a couple of things. One of them is letters to the council. I have written a couple of letters to the council and staff, and I haven't received anything. I would like to at least get an acknowledgement, such as, I hear you and thank you for your concerns. It's been a few letters and I would like to hear that. So if I have to resend them, I can. So if anybody hasn't received my letters, that would be awesome. Maybe you got me blocked, who knows? Okay, the other thing is I've heard rumors about our comp plan and I want to address that. And I'm a little discouraged on both ends, which would be the citizens put our comp plan together. The citizens went by the surveys and the comments of what our citizens wanted. I'm a little bit concerned on why we are harping over words. We all know what the citizens wanted. We all know that what they mean. But we are allowing to be, and I'm going to use this as very harsh, bullied by developers coming in and telling us what our comp plan should say and mean. And I'm going to say just outright, shame on you for doing that, for saying that you want to sue our city because of the wording or because they're not getting their way. And I am going to say shame on you. You guys are my friends, you've been my friends, but shame on you. You guys have done so much for our city, and it is an awful shame that you're going down that route. And I'm also going to say shame on my city council for allowing it. So please, you know what our comp plan was meant to say. You know what it was meant, what the citizens wanted. Pull up your pants and stay true to it. If they want to sue, that's all on them. If they want to stoop that low after what they've done such a wonderful job in our city, let them stoop. But this is ridiculous. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Trina. Bart? Bart? Where'd he go? Yep, you're up, buddy. Sorry. I knew he was in there somewhere. I'm like, where'd he go? No, I'm sorry. It may have sounded like that.
No problem. Bart Davenport. I live in Heath, Texas, and my family has property here, Triple Creek Ranch in McLendon-Chisholm. And I'm just up here to talk about 6.4, the property for rezoning there on League Road. From everything I've seen, it appears to be a thought-out plan. It fits within the zoning for the district for commercial. As they go to widen 205, there's a lot of that frontage there that's going to get lost. A lot of that developable property that's going to get lost. We're going to need to spread back a little bit. And if you look directly across the street from it, there's the Rockwall County Emergency Tower that lines up exactly with where they're dividing the commercial into residential. So I think they've thought this through pretty well. Looks like they're gonna do a lot of nice landscaping, and we've seen self-storage around in a lot of places that looks very, very nice today. It's not like what it used to be back in the day, and there's obviously a desperate need out here too. I mean, you know, Americans are the worst about buying more than we can handle and needing to put it somewhere. So that we're going to need to continue to try and bring in commercial property out here into McLendon-Chisholm. You know, we're going to need that tax base. We're going to need those services, and this includes one of those services that is needed. So I'm here to let you know that my family and I are in favor of it. We think they're doing a good job, and I think that between that and the residential proposal that they've put forward, that it's going to look really nice and be a nice addition to the community and help the community service in the future. Thanks, Dylan.
Thanks, Bart. Mr. Adcock. Which one? James. Sorry. I didn't realize I had two up there.
Good evening. My name is James Adcox. I'm at 212 Adcox Lane here in McLendon-Chisholm. Here to talk about item 6.4 again. So we've gone over this several times and we come back to it again. Looking at the infrastructure and surrounding areas around our neighborhood road, League Road, you can actually see that it's in serious need and in terrible disrepair. There's currently a very large pothole right there at the corner that needs to be addressed. We're already talking about a road that under current traffic cannot be maintained regularly. Through our research of these mini storage, personal storage properties, some of these facilities are accessed as many as 20,000 times over a 6-month period. That averages out to about 3,500 trips per month that's already going to be used on a road that's already taxed. This type of development doesn't fall within the spirit of the comprehensive plan. We're already having to make all kinds of special districts, make all kinds of exemptions, extend property lines, change this, change that. If it was such a easy thing to do, why do we have to make all of these compromises and changes and different things along with that? The other thing that gets talked about a lot is the tax base. It's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to raise $100,000 in annual taxes and whatnot. If you go through, you do the math, Property taxes is one aspect where, the property will generate money for the city. But of that overall amount, how much of it actually comes back to our city? You talk about sales tax. Well, on storage, you can only collect sales tax on registered vehicles and such. So personal property has no taxable value to the city. So say there's 20 spots that are rented full-time, $8.25 is tax collected, roughly $2 and change would go to the city. So you're talking, $25 a month in revenue for the city per month. So for me, it doesn't seem like much of a boom to the economy for our city to have an extra few dollars and change the entire landscape of a neighborhood along with that. I understand that, Ryan has gone to great lengths to, try to make this a very appealing project, to do landscaping and fencing and all these other things. The resounding feeling that I've gotten from all of our talks, from my neighbors and in my neighborhood, is that it is not something that we want in our neighborhood. And I implore you to look at the spirit of the comprehensive plan, to look at all of the hoops that we have to go through to make this a thing, and see that it's not the practical or the wise thing to do. Appreciate your consideration. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sandra Webb? Your mic's off. She's helping you.
My husband served on the P&Z board for 10 years. My husband and I attended and participated in the local church for many years. My daughter-in-laws have all been either teachers or active parents in PTAs in our school district, and my grandchildren have grown up in this community. I've heard other citizens say that Ryan is an outsider trying to hurt our community by the project on Lee Road. I believe this is not true. His project is mostly large lots for custom homes, which everyone says they want. Ryan builds a nice custom home, and these homes will improve the community. He's trying to open a business in the commercial corridor because he sees a need for local businesses in our town and thinks this business will be successful. I know that I and other citizens want more businesses in town so that we don't have to drive to other cities to get what we need. He's repeatedly cooperated with the request of the city planner and council to make the project fit the requirements of the city. I support his project on League Road and ask that the council approve it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Brent?
Brent Cornish, 250 League Road. I'm confused. I have to ask you, the last time I was here, this was voted unanimously by 5 council members to be put to bed, and it was supposed to go back to P&Z. The confusion lies in why are we back here again, beating up on the same stuff? Are you able?
We can't answer you.
You can't answer me, okay. Well, the next question then is going to go as a rhetoric one too. What would entice you to bring this back?
I think that will be explained when we get to the agenda item.
Okay, very good.
That I will, because I know people are wondering why it's back on the agenda. That will be explained when we get to that agenda item.
Okay. So who runs the city? Does the city council run the city and the P&Z board? Or do outside interests run the city? Ones that don't even live here and have no interest except to make money off of McLendon-Chisholm. This has gotten to be so convoluted that it actually stinks of corruption, conflict of interest, and underhandedness, in my opinion. It has been going on way too long. Please take the advice of the P&Z to deny the request without prejudice and send it back to the P and Z. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. All right, back to what you asked me earlier. Now I'm confused. All right, James Adcock the second. Okay. I didn't realize I had two different ones stuck in here in between. Okay.
The other one's my dad.
I like your way of thinking.
Listen, it's pretty simple. As you know, my name's James Adcox. I live at 654 English Road, and I also own the corner of 205 and League Road.
Where the old lawnmower building was.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And every single neighbor that lives in our neighborhood is opposed to this project. Not 19 letters were sent out and 19 came back opposed. The P&Z committee said, doesn't fit, doesn't work with the comp plan. They said no, and it's still almost passed several times. I get it, many storage facilities probably are better than they were in the past, but nothing good happens there. I have friends that own them. Some of the horror stories are just incredible. You can even go on Google and you can buy a fake lock so it looks like it's locked so you can live in there. If you don't live in the neighborhood, you really shouldn't be speaking about what's good and what's bad, because we drive on that road every single day. My grandkids are going to drive up and down that road every single day. Both my sons live on Adcox Lane in McLendon-Chisholm, and you can throw a rock from their house and hit my house. We're invested in this city. I hope I can build something that the city will be proud of on my corner when that time comes, and I've got architects working on it now. I put it on hold after all this stuff started happening. But follow the comp plan and listen to your citizens. I mean, we love McLendon-Chisholm. We want this place to be a dynamite place to live, and this project just doesn't fit. Residential, I don't have an issue with, but a mini storage facility just doesn't work. Here in the country, if you need more storage, you build a barn. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, David, you're next.
I'm David Black at 1419 Sienna Lane, McLendon-Chisholm. These are comments for 6.1, the development agreement with D.R. Horton. I could not find discussion on the first reading of October 24th of last year in the minutes. There was a minutes published, but nothing for this item. The entire packet for it was only 8 pages. Today's packet for the second reading is 70 pages, and so I can't go through all my questions in 5 minutes. But I'm hoping that there'll be, during your discussion, that you guys will go back and forth and will illuminate what the latest updates are and things like that. The consent to annexation, section 2.3, agenda packet page 62, it's all capitalized and in bold font to make sure you know it. Seems to be a mandatory annexation of the property into the city limits. This seems contrary to what was the first reading, where annexation was optional. It said the city will have the right but not the obligation to annex the property into the corporate limits of the city upon owner's receipt of 100% of the reimbursables due to owner by the MUDs, unquote. So I just, am curious. River Rock is approximately 5,000 to 6,000 homes, from what I hear. That is about 2 to 3 times the current population of our city. And I'm wondering, will the MUD supply everything, security and water? It looks like our city will contract with River Rock for fire and EMS. They've worked with Blackland. I assume they can contract with the sheriff to get the best deal for security coverage, but, whatever. Nevertheless, as a small city, can we support many thousands more citizens like this? They're going to be there, obviously. They're in the ETJ, they're going to be there with their high-density lots. but I don't know if we want to take responsibility for all those people. We already have to prepare for the 1,700 homes plus homes from the Trilogy development. Anyway, regardless of annexation, do we have a plan to deal with the intersection of Wallace Road going down to Edwards Road? Since Wallace Road bisects the development, what will it be like for River Rock residents to get to SHO 205 via League Road? I think it will impact some of Verde residents too. It seems it could be very heavy. The actual placement of the future outer loop is not placed as far as I know. There might be a council member that knows about that. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
All right, thank you, David. All right, Ms. Linda?
Hi, excuse me, I'm a little laryngitis today.
You're fine. A lot of stuff going around, so I perfectly understand.
Allergies, mine is.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
my name's Linda Fight. I live at 1150 Frontier Trail, which is right by League Road. So this is definitely my neighborhood. And I first want to start by thanking the council members that supported us in the last meeting to deny this. Talking about Greenbrier's Homes mini warehouse facility. So we do appreciate your support. I would like to take this opportunity too to say I look at the McLendon-Chisholm website, and I found the best comment there that really supports me and my neighbors that are here today. It says, people talk to each other and band together when it's needed. It's needed. We don't need a mini warehouse facility in a residential community. Yes, there's a tower there, but that's for emergency support. That's not a commercial building with access 24/7 with lights all over the place. It's a neighborhood. And it goes right down League Road, runs right into Edwards Road. We have all the houses there. We have Sonoma Verde there. It would bring in so much traffic from 550 down Edwards, from 548 down Edwards, back down League. And we're a little residential neighborhood. It's not in the comprehensive plan to have that type of facility. The entry is on League Road. It's not on 205. So to me, it just is a terrible fit, and I don't think that we should allow that to happen. So I request today that you deny the request for the mini warehouse facility. Thank you very much, and I also agree with all those statements my neighbors have made. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Strauss?
Good evening, Mayor Short, Mayor Pro Tem Balcom, and fellow City Council members. Thank you once again for allowing us, the League Road community, to afford the opportunity to share with you our strong opposition towards the zoning request for commercial warehouse buildings on our residential street and community. For this, we are most grateful. My name is Mary Strauss, and I live at 501 League Road. I do not believe at this point that it is necessary to cover once again all the numerous and valid reasons as to why this zoning request is so extremely unwanted by the majority of those who it would most definitely and severely impact. The citizens of McLendon-Chisholm have already established this by the overwhelming number of... I am so sorry. Don't know what happened. By the overwhelming number of those, including myself, who have presented authentic protests, concerns, disapproval, and general opposition to this problematic, potentially disastrous and unwanted zoning request. However, what I certainly believe is most important here tonight is how the objections to this request were heard and received at the previous council meeting. Ultimately, the voice and will of the people prevailed over the financial interests of one individual. After all, the true essence of the government process by which our country was founded is a social contract that consists of elected officials and citizens working in cooperation for the good of the community represented. The results of the December 12th City Council meeting proved that denying this request showed the voices of the people truly do count and matter. We have to believe that this decision was based upon the aspects so many of us presented over the course of many city council meetings. This type of commercial warehouse business can be associated with disruptive, negative, and potentially dangerous consequences, and absolutely does not align or belong within our residential community. Above all, and most importantly, the opposition of the people was respected, received, and accomplished. It is now my understanding that Mayor Short has placed the zoning request for reconsideration tonight. We, the citizens of McLendon-Chisholm and residents of the League Road community, ask each of you to once again hold yourselves to the high standard and the responsibility your position requires, and take into careful consideration what the people you represent care so passionately about and seek to preserve. That is, we the people do not want this commercial zoning request to pass. We respectfully ask you to deny the request for commercial warehouse buildings with prejudice. Thank you all so very much.
Good evening. My name is Alvin McGill. I live on 41 League Road in McLendon-Chisholm. I appreciate the opportunity to speak once again on the rezoning part of League Road to commercial. As a community, we have spoke to you about being opposed to the changes, the portion of League Road to commercial. We presented to you in November and December our concerns and reasons as to why we strongly object to this change. And here are a few of those concerns: safety, zones, traffic, crime, and environment. And we also provided excerpts from the McLendon-Chisholm Comprehensive Plan dated 2021 to 2040 that are related to those objections and concerns of the community. The environment of our community has already been seriously changed. There are no more open space, peace, and clean air or quietness. To add a commercial area on League Road would be even more dramatic to our community environment. So we ask that you deny or oppose. Thank you.
I was going to do the short version, but since you're here, I'm going to do the long version. My name is Judy Moss. I live at 525 League Road. I've lived there 30 years. First, and very importantly, I would like to thank all of the council people, members, who voted to reject the request for the mini warehouse at the last meeting. All of us appreciate you listening to us and researching where we live and how this wouldn't be a good fit for McLendon-Chisholm. Now I have questions. You don't have to answer yet. Why are we here tonight on this same issue? I was at the last meeting and heard that the mini warehouse was rejected by all council persons. They directed staff to send it back to the P&Z board for that lot to be changed and designated for houses. The mini warehouse was out. Even Mr. Webb agreed. Sending it back to P&Z was at the recommendation of the city attorney to be tightened up and streamlined. Did you forget your words, Mr. Howla? I encourage you to review the streaming of the previous meeting to refresh your memory. So why is this on the agenda before the P&Z board has had a chance to even meet? This application has been revised multiple times. There have been many changes, all against the comprehensive plan, the city codes, the P&Z recommendations. There were deviations to accommodate the mini warehouse. Revise. They're breaking all the rules. Your consultant, Mr. Coker, and the city attorney, Mr. Hollis, seem to me to be doing everything they can to accommodate this project. What did they and Mr. Webb say or promise to get this brought back? And to my neighbors in Heath, this may seem like it is a wonderful thing to you, but you know, you don't live here, and you certainly don't live on League Road, and that's our neighborhood. We don't live in a fancy development, but we have our neighbors, and we have lived here a long time, and we appreciate it. If you want one, get it in your neighborhood. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of blunt. The builder, the consultant, the attorney, and many of the city's employees don't live in McLendon-Chisholm. Why would they care? They don't care what happens, but you do. And I thank you for that. Why should you have to do this again when it's already been done? I ask you to reject this request one more time and return it to the P&Z with the decision you made at the last council meeting, just for residential. The mini warehouse is out. Mr. Webb can build his homes with 2.5 acres as long as he stays within the guidelines of the city. Do you know what a mini warehouse is? A mini warehouse accommodates possible individual small businesses and will have a walk-in door with a suite number to go with the address and a garage-type door. That's what a mini warehouse is. Each unit can have their own electric meter to be addressed to the street and the suite number. Check with your electric provider to find out if that's true. Ms. Strauss presented a long list of negative and illegal issues associated with many warehouses, some within 10 miles of McLendon-Chisholm. Surely you can't ignore those issues and think because we live in a small town, it can't happen here. Yes, it can. Everything can happen here. Questions remain. Who will manage those 200 to 300 units? Who will watch the contents as it is being unloaded? How will the property owners be affected by the rainwater draining off of all the concrete? Have you ever thought about that? Mr. Webb said there would be 2 driveways on either end. What could possibly go wrong? Quote from Mayor Keith Short in the Blue Ribbon News, March 31st, 2021, not too long ago. We're going to make sure we get what we want and don't waste the land we do have on things that are not best for our community. This is not best for our community. That statement says to me that you will do what is right for the citizens of McLendon-Chisholm. This is your town, too. Thank you so much.
I requested the presentation at the agenda item, and I was told I had to speak at citizen comments. So I can speak at the agenda item. Okay, I started looking for self-storage land in the city over a year ago. I've been communicating with the city staff since 2022 about the idea of building a self-storage facility. I had many conversations, emails, and in-person meetings with city staff, especially the city planner, about this project. I was told self-storage was allowable with the correct zoning. The city staff and some local commercial developers that own land on 205 also gave me criteria early on about what would likely be approvable. I was told 3 things that would determine my selection of this land. 1, that the direct road frontage on 205 would be undesirable because it's too visible for self-storage. 2, that self-storage shouldn't back up to an existing residential subdivision. And 3, that the intersection of 205 and 550 is being reserved for certain businesses. So with that criteria in mind, I saw the available properties on 205 didn't fit the mold. When I found these 20 acres for sale, I saw it checked all 3 boxes. 1, I could keep the self-storage in the commercial zoning area and keep its visibility low by being tucked behind other commercial lots on 205 and use the tree line between the existing commercial lots and this property as additional natural screening. 2, I wouldn't be putting the self-storage next to an existing residential subdivision, as I had 16 acres of raw land between Lot 1 and the nearest residential subdivision, which is over 1,300 feet away from Lot 1. And 3, I wasn't taking any of the prime real estate spots on the intersection of 205 and 550, allowing the city to hold out for more selective options for the city center. So, this location really is the best fit scenario when you look at the available land, the commercial corridor, and the proximity to the nearest residential subdivision. I had a slide. It showed the intersection of 205 and 550. It showed the commercial corridor and all the lots that are available on that section. And none of them fit that criteria. I either have to put it directly facing 205, which is the largest visibility, or I have to put it backed up to an existing residential subdivision, which those citizens would then be here saying they don't want commercial behind them. I'm asking the city if y'all want the commercials to be filled. I mean, y'all created a commercial corridor. I came in with a business plan for 1 commercial lot, and I tried to fill the rest of the land with the large 2.5 acre residential lots, which is, since I've been in these meetings, the only developer trying to build large lots in the city. So I think this project gives most citizens something they want from a development. If we divide up the citizens using the comprehensive plan's consumer profiles terms, the Green Acres citizens are getting the 16 acres of large residential lots to keep the country feeling and preserving their rural atmosphere in the residential zones. These 6 lots represent 80% of this project and are the only part of the project near the Frontier Trail subdivision. These estate-sized lots are also appealing to the professional pride citizens, giving them custom home options on large lots. Nobody else, since I've been here in these meetings, has presented this large of lots for residential. Soccer moms and professional pride citizens are getting a new business service from Lot 1, which makes their lives easier with less commuting to other cities from all the needs and services they don't have provided in the city. The population of this city has been exploding, and it's all residential, and there's no services for them in town. Everybody leaves 205 and 550 to get all their basic needs and services, and why that's very much okay with the Green Acres citizens, the professional pride and the soccer moms really don't want that. And so I'm asking you to consider the whole big picture for the city development. If you have a commercial section of the city and you have a business applying for that commercial use, why are we going to reject it? Not everybody's going to use the service. I understand that. Nobody's going to use every business service. So you have commercial zoning. I went and bought land in the commercial zoning, and I'm asking for a commercial business. I'm also offering all these residential lots as a buffer. I offered the screening wall as a buffer. I offered 6 feet wide of the tree on the right side property line as a buffer for more screening. I offered stone on the front elevation, fence, large trees, bushes, whatever Mr. Coker asked of me. I said, okay. I said yes to whatever y'all wanted to make it work. Now, this is the third council meeting we're presenting, or trying to have presented this project for approval. The first one, I got a simple majority for approval, and then it was taken away from an improper voting requirement. And the second council meeting was not voted on in denial, unlike some people have stated here. And so I believe that's why we're here today, is to finish up the business. This is the same concept plan, the same building standards that I presented since November to this council. It was only ever a revision of the lots in P&Z's meeting by Mr. Coker's own request. It was not on my own. And so I did not ever make a change to this concept plan other than what Mr. Coker requested me to do in the P&Z meeting before the P&Z council voted. And so the city council has only ever seen this concept plan, and I've asked you to vote for it.
Good evening, Mayor Short, council, and city staff. My name is Bev Stibbons, and I reside at 279 Partridge Drive. My message to you this evening is simple. Shame on you. And Trudy and I did not compare notes beforehand. The County of Rockwall celebrated their sesquicentennial, or 150th birthday, last month. And this city and its residents were the only municipality or group who did not provide something for the time capsule. Why? Council, do you think so little of the people who elected you? Oh, wait. Most of you ran unopposed and didn't have to ask for a vote. Staff, do you think so little of the citizens who pay your salary? How will the citizens of the future feel when it is opened and they were not represented? Shame on you. When I moved here in 1980, McLendon-Chisholm was the joke of Rockwall County. We were never taken seriously as a city. It took a lot of hard work and determination by those who came before you to be taken seriously in this county. Congratulations, you have just placed us back there. Shame on you. Keep approving developments that go against the city comp plan, which was created by a group of citizens, i.e. voters. Why was so much money and time on the creation of it done when it was going to be blatantly ignored? The vision for the Heritage Center is not what you approved at the last meeting. Shame on you. It is almost filing time for the upcoming 2024 elections. I would think twice before placing your name back on that ballot. Thank you.
It is 7:17. Citizens' comments are closed for the evening. Guys, before we get into the consent agenda and the actual agenda items, I'm going to call for a 5-minute recess. That way everybody can do bathroom breaks and all that. So, all right, so we are now in recess for 5 minutes. Fix and start. All right, it's 7:27. We'll call this meeting back to order. We have consent agenda items 5.1 and 5.2. I'll entertain a motion to approve those unless there's a reason to pull one of them off.
I motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, if there's no discussion, all in favor? Aye.
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 Mayor, could
Ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh.
It says there is one that's, one date that's highlighted, and we will be having absentee voting here in the chamber.
Okay.
So we can, it'll be up to y'all to decide if you want to cancel that meeting, move it, or however you want to handle that.
All right, we'll figure it out. That's
Okay.
fine. I'm okay with that, especially if it has to do with using this chamber for voting. We've always worked around that the best we could. So, all right, Dan, you voted on it too, right? Okay, that was unanimous. All right, we'll move on. I'm going to pull one agenda item up to the front real quick. 6.4, discussion and consider approval of a zoning district change as requested by Greenbrier Homes from the SF 2.5 residential zoning district and a GB general business zoning district to a planned development district for the development of 3 single-family lots with a minimum lot size of 5 acres of land and approval of 1 5-acre lot for a self-serve mini warehouse facility. Michael, I know you had some things you wanted to say on that, so we'll start with you.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, you wanted to know why it was on the agenda. Oh, you may want to turn, yeah, thanks. So I had a feeling it was a possibility that not all our citizens would be as compassionate and kind as Miss Linda was when she spoke. So I thought, you know what? Let's do something crazy. Let's be transparent. Let's put it all out there. There's a ton of confusion. I'm sure that council is going to be accused of things. I'm going to be accused of things with no facts or basis whatsoever. So why don't we have this on the agenda? Because there was a bunch of confusion last time. There was no vote last time. And I know that Mr. Webb doesn't agree with everything I'm saying, but that's fine. I represent the council. Y'all are who I represent. Y'all are who I take care of. So the first time, that vote's gone. That ship sailed. It's done. There is no more 3-2 vote. 52.003 of the local government code B and C. The mayor did written objections within 4 days of that vote. That automatically, the law says it shall, means there's no choice. It's got to be reconsidered at the next meeting. That means that first vote, that's gone, done. So he doesn't have a 3-2 vote in his favor. That's done. Now, if the mayor hadn't have done that, written rejections to the vote within the 4 days, then yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that, but that's not what happened. The mayor did do that within 4 days. So we put it back on the agenda. Again, there was a lot of confusion on what it was. Was it 3 5-acre lots? And there was talking about 6 2.5-acre lots. Nobody really knew what it was. The council didn't vote on anything. They thought, well, we're confused too. Maybe that's why I suggested to try and help everybody, because it's about fairness to everybody. Give everybody a chance to give their mind, speak their mind, say what they want to say. That's what that's about, is fairness. Because if you don't have fairness, you don't have anything. So I appreciate the people that want to come in and listen and go, wait, why is this on the agenda? There might actually be a good reason this is on the agenda. So that's why I said, look, let's just put it all out there and let everybody see it. So we've got no more 3-2 vote. We've got it reconsidered. Maybe it's better. Well, then I found out since then, I've been told that Mr. Webb has withdrawn that application. I checked and confirmed, and I was told, yes, in writing, he decided not to go forward with the 3 5-acre lots. Said, okay, that's a withdrawal. You're not going forward on anymore. That's a withdrawal. There is no more 3 5-acre lots. My understanding is that it's now 6 2.5-acre lots. That's a very big deviation from 3 5-acre lots. I don't believe the council can vote on the 6 2.5-acre lots.
The reason why is because I have 211006B and 211007C of the local government code that backs me up on that. That's the law. It says you cannot have and vote on a zoning change until it's been noticed at least 10 days prior to a P&Z meeting and at least 15 days prior to a city council meeting. We've had no public hearing, no notice of any kind whatsoever about 2.5 acre lots. I'm not aware of anything. I've confirmed with staff. We haven't had public hearings on 2.5 acre lots. So I don't think we can vote on 2.5 acre lots because it would be in violation of law if we did. Now, if he wants to withdraw that application too, he can. As far as the 3 5-acre lots that got the 3-2 vote, as far as I'm concerned from a legal standpoint, that's gone. That's history because he's withdrawn it. He wrote an email, said, I don't want to go forward on that. I want to go forward with 6 and 2.5. If he wants to go with 6 and 2.5, that's something completely different. For example, if you go, hey, I've got 5 5-acre tracts, and now I want to go to 3 5-acre tracts, that's okay. I don't think you need another public hearing for that. I don't think you have a notice. I don't think you need to worry about that. Because what you've done, it's the same thing, it's just smaller. Going from 3 5-acre lots to 6 2.5 acre, that is not the same thing. That is not subsumed under, contained in a smaller part of 3 5-acre tracts. It's something completely different. So we haven't had any notice about that. We haven't had any public hearings about that. And we need to have public hearings about that. Today is a good reason why we have doing that. So there was no corruption or there was misunderstanding. There was confusion. And I want to make sure it was all out there. As far as I'm concerned, the 3 5-acre lots is done because that's been withdrawn. We now have on the table for this, but can't be considered tonight because we haven't had public hearings about it, the 6 2.5 acre lots. So that's where from the facts I have, that's where I think we are right
now. So where does that leave us with this? Just
I don't think there's any action for the council to take on this tonight because, like I said, I don't think there's any action on the 3 5-acre lots. That's been withdrawn. So that's no longer a consideration. If he wants to come in and submit a new application, it's withdrawn, so there's no prejudice. If he wants to submit a new application and do it again, he can do that. Right now, what we have an email from him is a 6 2.5 acre lots. That's still got to go back, and it's got to be noticed in accordance with law. You have to have public hearings. You have to put it in the paper, and we have to have a hearing in front of P&Z. We have to have a hearing in front of the council.
okay. All right. Council, question? No, I'm saying questions of the city attorney on that. All right, then there'll be no action taken on the item. Conrad, do you have something?
Oh, I was just going to quickly state that I know I've heard the developer state a couple times that the revisions have come per recommendation from the city council, and the answer to that is true. I mean, they try to help. How can we make this better and make this work? But the key component is what our city attorney said. It has not, it's a substantial difference, and it has not been published again, has not been notification sent out again to the property owners within the 200-foot area. And so it's a different project. So, and I know that's frustrating, probably to the developer, frustrating to the residents, that possibility this could go on again if that's what the choice is. But that's why, and I think our city attorney said it very eloquently and very legally and substantively of what the city's doing, and we're just trying to eliminate any exposure for the city and in our dealings. So I 100% agree that it needs to go back if that's what the developer desires.
Well, there's nothing to actually go back. It's, hey, if we're going to go forward on the 6, like I said, the 3 5-acre lot, that's dead. That's done. It's finished. There's nothing more. That's not going to happen. Unless he wants to resubmit the entire thing all over again. And once you withdraw it, there's no penalty, there's no prejudice or anything like that. You're going to withdraw it, you're done. You have to start back over. If he wants to start back over again with 3 5-acre lots, he can do that. But right now, it's dead. it's over and finished. If he wants to withdraw at this point, the 6 2.5 acre lots and not go to P and Z, and we don't post it in the paper, that's fine too. That'll be at this point. But the 3 5 acre, that's dead, gone, withdrawn. Now he's got to decide whether he wants to go to P and Z and follow. We have to follow our zoning ordinance and state law in terms of the 6 2.5 acres.
And I think also, Mayor, is some of the confusion, and people ask questions, and let me help to answer some of them, is there was a motion and a second to deny last council meeting. There was no vote. There was absolutely no vote. So there was discussion, and even a motion second, but the motion died. I mean, there was no vote. So it wasn't shame on you, council. You were doing exactly what the law requires you to do on this. So congratulations, council.
I'll say this again, the 3 5 acre project is dead. I don't know how to put that any simpler. It's dead, yeah.
And all that. Oh, sorry, if it gets represented to P and Z and all that with the smaller
The 6 2.5
sizes and all that, then it can be represented.
Well, that's a
depending
whole,
on the
right, that's a
recommendation.
whole new project. That's a whole new thing, yeah. Yeah, the other one was withdrawn, it's dead.
Does that answer
This one-
questions for the audience? According to the way that we have been advised, yes. All right.
There's no action that would be legally not void at this point.
Sorry, I keep getting the look because I keep turning the mic off. We'll move to 6.3, discussion and action regarding approval of preliminary plat that provides for the development of 83 single-family lots, each with a minimum lot size of 1 acre of land on 99.544 acres of land located on the north side of FM 550 across from City Hall. Hey, sir, you going to talk? Make sure you turn your mic on. Folks, I'm going to step out for just a second.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Asa Woodbury, and I will be presenting on this item giving the staff report. So the request is, the applicant is requesting approval of a preliminary plat that provides for the development of 83 single family lots, each with a minimum lot size of 1 acre of land on 99.544 acres of land located on the north side of FM 550, right across from City Hall. The planning and zoning recommendation is approval. The staff recommendation is approval. This application is consistent with the approved conceptual plan. Previously this year, the City Council approved a change in zoning from agriculture to a planned development district for 83 single-family residential lots with a minimum lot size of 1 acre and 2 HOA lots. This preliminary plat provides a dedication of 10 feet of right-of-way adjacent to FM 550 to comply with the thoroughfare plan and provides a direct connection of Settlement Drive to the adjacent property to the north, the Heritage Development. The application is administratively complete and complies with the City of McLendon-Chisholm's subdivision regulations. That completes the staff report, and I do believe that Mr. Russell Phillips is here, and I will turn it over to him for any questions regarding the development. Thank you.
I figured I was a loudmouth enough. So anyway, Russell Phillips, live at 521 Moraine Way in Heath, and here to answer any questions you may have about our development, and look forward to building in the city again.
I motion to approve the preliminary plat that provides for the development of 83 single-family lots, each with a minimum lot size of 1 acre of land on 99.544 acres of land located on the north side of FM 550 across from City Hall.
I've got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so for discussion.
Just for everyone to hear, the little routine, the thing that to make sure that we are saying that you are currently located in the High Point SUD's water district boundary.
Correct.
And have you followed through and with any type of studies, water studies with them?
Yes. And in fact, it was originally submitted, the land here around the city, our piece across the street, and then another smaller piece as well, to High Point directly to supply water to all, which is not a bad idea because, again, they're trying to make sure that they build the infrastructure and what's needed here for the city as a whole. But they did break ours out because there's actually already water in front. They have the capacity already to be able to serve that, and we are already in their CCM. So.
I just had to put that, make sure it's on record.
And we submitted the letters also to the city about the water capacity as well, and proof of water. So.
All right, if there's no questions, I'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Show that unanimous. All right, moving on.
Thank you.
Sir?
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Russell.
much.
Appreciate you. Let's go to 6.1. Discussion and action regarding the development agreement between the City of McLendon-Chisholm and DMDS Land Company, LLC.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. As you remember, the City Council has previously reviewed the proposed development agreement at a first reading at your October 24th, 2023 City Council meeting. You discussed and participated in over 20 bulleted items that was discussed at that meeting. Those items and responses to those items have been incorporated in the agreement that you have in front of you. Excuse me. Principals for the Red Rock development are here tonight for any questions. Between their team, I bet they can answer any question that you can throw at them. Anyway, and they've created a final agreement for your review, and this enclosed development agreement has previously been reviewed a few times with our city attorney, as well as city staff. The development is in our extraterritorial jurisdiction and not in our city boundaries. And the project will be completed with or without an agreement. In staff's opinion, the development agreement allows the city to have at least some say and some benefit into the direction of the overall final product and provide additional and ongoing increased revenue to the city. So with that, Mayor, the city attorney has something to say, and developers are there if you have questions to walk through it if you want.
Just a couple of quick things, Mayor. As we've heard Councilmember Tucker say many times, and he's correct, it's better to have some say than no say, because this is 212, 172B, 3 and 8 allow us to have some control over land use by contract. And then, so that's one thing that I think is very important to mention. And then second, I know there was one question about the annexation language. I don't know if there were other questions, but that's the one I remember from the audience. The annexation language, in a way, is superfluous because annexation's got to be done by ordinance. So that means it's a legislative act. So in a way, it doesn't really matter what the language of the agreement is. No one can force the city council by contract, by agreement, by any way to annex or not annex property. So the way we can do it as general law, the only way we can do it now as general law is by the voluntary petition of a property owner. Completely and totally up to, doesn't matter what's in that agreement, it's completely and totally up to council whether or not they want to, by ordinance, approve that petition or not. So again, I want to address that concern, that that's not really a concern, because you can't agree to annexation in the development agreement the same way you cannot agree to zoning, because that's a legislative act. Zoning by contract is specifically illegal. So by the same way analogy here, that's why the annexation language is not really a concern.
All right, I'll entertain a motion. No motion, going once, going twice. Sometimes I feel like the auctioneer. Only I can't do all that stuff they do when they talk 90 miles an hour. All right.
Okay, I'm going to motion, because I wasn't sure if you're lighting it up because you're making a motion or not. So I do make a motion to approve with some conditions, but I would like to be able to address some of the concerns. So there we go, a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is with our attorney and of course Asa, if you would like to contribute, is that the interlocal agreements that was referenced it was dated back in 2013, and so one of the things that I believe that we need to start revisiting some things to go through the bullet points about updating that information. And I wanted to find from our attorney is, do you think that that is prudent to do that because of the platting issue? Should that be done at the city level, since there's also building permits and inspections and all that? Because is that something that we should be concerned with?
Yeah, I actually, that's a good question, because 2013, I remember, I could be wrong, but it was, let's see, what is this, 2024? Maybe somewhere around 2020. I thought I remember we had somebody from county that came in and wanted to talk to us about an agreement. Now, 242-001 requires the cities and counties to have an agreement in place. It requires us. I never recommend, I always want us to have control of plats in our ETJ. I want our subdivision ordinance to be enforced in our ETJ. That protects the citizens, okay? It's not there for the benefit of the ETJ people. It is there for the benefit of the citizens. It protects them. I don't want the county to have that responsibility or that ability. I mean, yes, there's money, there's plat fees and, application fees and things like that. So it does bring money into the coffers. Most importantly, we are protecting ourselves. We're not relying on the county to do that. So if we don't have an agreement in place, then, or if it's from 2013, like I said, I thought we can, maybe we didn't vote on it, but I thought we did 3-4 years ago, maybe 2020, something like that. I would want the latest version of, I would say approve the agreement subject to the latest version of the interlocal being in there. And I would think if they're doing a development agreement with us and they're saying, hey, look, we're going to rely upon you, they wouldn't want us to be in control of all that as well. But I would, if I'm them, I wouldn't want us to be in control of it as well. So I would think both sides want us to be in control of plats in the ETJ. So that's a good question. And yeah, I would subject to the most recent agreement with the county being there.
Sure. So I'm Josh Becky with Coates Rose, the attorney that represents the MUDs here, as well as the developers that are party to this agreement. So a couple of things that I wanted to address. One of the things you mentioned about annexation, wholly agree with that 100%. I think there was maybe a little bit of confusion, thinking that the language in here was a requirement on the city to annex the property into the corporate limits. What it does, and what the intention is, and you touched on it a little bit there, is that what it states is that this developer signing this petition constitutes, signing this development agreement constitutes a petition for future voluntary annexation into the corporate limits of the city. Without that petition language in this agreement, it would be several years down the line, you'd have to go knocking on doors to get people to sign petitions to bring the property into the corporate limits of the city. So the big kind of, I think, big thing for the city here is that it's kind of free tax base. Once the property is fully developed, developers out of the picture, that language in here allows for you guys to have a mechanism for annexation, but not a requirement for annexation.
And I just wanted to add too, that's fine with us, okay? And the reason why is we're not going to take any of this property in until all this mud reimbursement's done. Right. And the reason why is because if there's $20 million outstanding and they annex to a petition and we accept it, we're now on the hook for that $20 million. So the fact that they've got to get reimbursed first does not hurt us at all. We want them to be reimbursed first. That's their thing up there, their deal. We don't want to end up taking on any of that debt. So it's clearly in the agreement. It says, look, this is a petition, which, and he's right, it may never happen if the petition language wasn't in there. This is a petition, but only after. As soon as it's paid off 100%, boom, it triggers the petition. Totally up to council whether they want to accept that. But
so just having the language in there is good, because like 20 years from now, we're like, oh, wait a minute, we probably should have thought about that. Is that
exactly? It is there saying, will you please take us inside the city? That is all that language does. It does not mean that we have to.
Correct, and it prevents you from having to knock on, thousands of doors later if the city wanted to annex the property in the future. So it does kind of leave the door open at the city's discretion. And then, correct. And then to touch back on kind of the question that I stood up for originally related to the interlocal agreement, we do have language in the development agreement that contemplates the reworking of that interlocal agreement. And so I'm not sure if that meets kind of what you're looking for, but it essentially kind of gives two options is what we're looking for. Either to amend the interlocal agreement between the city and the county to kind of clear up some of these things that are outdated. Obviously, this is from 2013. Both sides have had updated subdivision regulations and things like that since then. So it kind of either that or an alternative solution of an agreement between the county and the city that simply just states that this agreement, this 2013 agreement, as amended in the future and hereafter, doesn't apply to this property, and instead it would just be the terms and conditions of this development agreement, the subdivision regulations as amended by this development agreement, and all the exhibits related to this development agreement as well. And so, to your point, yes, we do want everything to be running through the city, rather than having some things go through the city, some things go through the county, and it creates a revenue stream for the city as well to have all of our platting and permitting and inspections and everything going through the city. So that is our intention.
Yeah, because in the language it was talking about it's going to be, we have to get this done in 120 days, or it could have been, I think it may have been 30 or, no, I'm pretty sure it was like 120 days. So is that going to be an issue with working with our attorney and us to, get it within, I don't know, maybe within that time frame? Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I mean, I've proposed a draft of an agreement between the city and the county. I know I've sent that to Conrad. I don't know if it's made it to your desk as well, or if it's made it to the county at all. I do believe it has also gone to the county. I'm not sure the exact status of that, but that would be kind of the alternative B. Alternative A, we're certainly open to the extent we can help facilitate that. It really is an agreement between the city and the county, so there's not a whole lot that we can do in that sense, but we can certainly help point out the inconsistencies and things like that. I know our development team has already gone through the 2013 agreement and marked it up as far as, who governs this and who governs that as it relates to the property. So we're certainly, willing to help out as much as we can.
So, would that be a difficult thing for us to would it be kosher to have the county, we all work together and mail that out probably in a month's time, so they can get it on their agenda maybe, or what would the process
I don't
look
know
like?
how often they meet, you know, agenda, it may take a little longer. It is always, 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 always better for the city and counties to work together, okay? Always. Now, I don't know, I understand, the way I understand it is there's been one commissioner that has said that whatever we submitted, that they're not in favor of it. Again, that's not the whole, excuse me, the judge, but that's not the whole, I know that. But that's just kind of where we are. I haven't seen it. I don't know what the issues are, what the problems are. So just, I'm trying to do my best to answer your question. How quickly can we get it? I think that if it's the 120 days, I mean, I would hope that's reasonable. I mean, I want us to work with the county. I mean, it's tough. It's tough going through life not working with the county. You know, so yes, that's a good thing to do. Can we get it done in 120? I would think so. But I mean, the county is gonna, you know, they're gonna have a say in that. I mean, you want them to have a say in that. So that I can only answer from our standpoint. How are you gonna do that?
Dennis, I don't mean to put you on. Don't mean to. Okay, I meant to put you on the spot by doing that. Well, and here's the thing, folks. If you don't know, and please respect everybody. You guys have done a great job tonight. Our county commissioner for our area is in attendance tonight. How hard, if we could meet the parameters of putting whatever language we need to put into it, how often do you meet to where we could get it to you guys and possibly get it on the agenda? So the same time we do, you just meet during the day? Okay. How soon does it need to be submitted to you guys? Okay. So pretty much the same as what we're doing. Okay.
And then if I might add, just as further protection really for both parties, under the term provisions of this agreement, we do have some language in here that states that if this, either an amendment to the interlocal agreement or this side agreement kind of option B, if those don't happen, we've got 6 months in here actually rather than 120 days. If it doesn't happen within the 6 month time frame, then this development agreement is void from the beginning. It never happened. And so that's really to protect my client, but also to protect the city, that if we haven't figured out who's governing what, then there's no reason for this agreement necessarily. There are obviously other benefits on both sides of the table in this agreement, but that's, you know, one of the main things there.
I don't really want to waste any more time because there is a timeline of stuff that's happening in related to our water.
Understood.
And so I'm about to touch on a little touchy subject about the sewer part. There's language about this being a regional, you know, for it to be a regional plan for wastewater and a wastewater sewer plant, you know, and I know that there's different versions of it and things of that nature. You know, at what's the time frame of the parcels that have already been done? Is it around springtime that you have you know, it's estimated to have all the parcels? I think it was like 61. It's going to be 61 parcels has already been obtained so far for the delivery point.
I'm going to defer to my development team on this one.
Sorry.
I think you might be thinking of water as far as offsite water.
Yes, I am, but I'm making sure like what other things that's related to that you're waiting on, you know, with North Texas Municipal Water District to work with the water, wastewater. Like what's the process that you're in right now? Did you just send a letter in? Did they give you approval? Or are you at the beginning stages?
So are we talking about water or wastewater?
Wastewater.
Okay, and you were talking about the easements, so
yes,
that's all related to water. So we're working with Blackland on the water. We're building a 6-mile water line, building 2 pump stations. We're getting about 80 parcels or easements to be able to do that. And that's in process. We've got 3/4 of the easements done, and they are Blackland's engineers designing the connection point to the North Texas water main, which is out on Highway 34, and that's in process right now. Regarding the wastewater, we're going to have a on-property plant. I've met with Commissioner Bailey. We've met with North Texas Municipal Water District to ask them if they would try to help us regionalize that, where we didn't have to build a plant and we would take a line somewhere else to an existing plant or existing trunk main. I've met with City of Rockwall to see if they would let us get into the Buffalo Creek line. They said no, there's no capacity for us. I've sent letters to Fate and Royce City about going to their wastewater treatment plant, which is north of us, north and east of us, and there's been no response on that. They don't seem to have any kind of interest. We went back to North Texas, said, look, we're trying to work with your partners here, and they go, well, our hands are tied. You have to have somebody to sponsor you to do that. And then basically they said, you've got an approved permit. You can build your wastewater treatment plant. We have no problem with that. We just always like to regionalize. They handed us a document that basically is an agreement with them to regionalize our sewer, which what that means is when there's sewer capacity somewhere in the area that we will consider taking our plant offline, running a sewer line down to connect to it. We looked at it, Josh looked at it, made a few changes. We haven't sent it back to him yet, but we're okay, and I believe in the agreement that's a consideration tonight, says that, hey, if there's an opportunity to regionalize, to take our plant off and connect, that we would do that. So it has to be obviously economically feasible to do. The other development that's happened probably in the last 2 months, we're working with a group out of San Antonio to actually treat the water to even a much higher standard than what TCEQ requires, and us reuse that water for irrigation on our property and others in the area. So that's in the infancy discussion right now, but that could be a possibility as well.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because I want to make sure that we are not leaving anything off the table, and specifically making sure that we are putting some language in there in case, because there is a regional deficiency out here, lack of water, and also, the wastewater. And so I know that that's something that's going to be a very big conversation in the next year or 2 years. So I think that if I can get Hala to contribute, if you would like to say, like, as far as like the language is concerned, for us to discuss further regarding the regionalization portion, I mean, can we include that in this motion to amend?
I will draw your attention real quick, sorry, to the last sentence in 3.2, last couple, I believe, sentences here is kind of where we discuss the intention to regionalize and examine the feasibility of regionalization. And as Jeff mentioned, we do have that agreement that we're still kind of working with them for the future regionalization. Just in the meantime, given the kind of lack of resources in the area, the district does already have a discharge permit that's approved by the TCEQ, and so that's the current plan, is to move forward down that route with the intention of looking longer term as well while we continue moving forward. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
We have a motion and we have a second on it.
I made a motion that included certain conditions that we'll be able to amend or add to the agreement. Well, I want to include that we will, I guess, revise the interlocal agreement because it's outdated, and we need to meet with the county on that, and also include the language for the regionalization. How'd you put it, Jeff? Josh.
How did you put it about the regional?
So it is already written. Excuse me. It is already written. Yeah, both of the points that you just mentioned are actually already in here, and so I just want to make sure that they are to your satisfaction. I believe the way you've expressed your concerns, the language does account for that, but I will let your attorney, opine on that as well. The interlocal language is 4.4. We've got a whole provision kind of giving the two different alternatives, which allows for it requires it to be completed in 3 months with an additional 3-month kind of extension if within the initial 3 months, conversations aren't going well. And then again, in the term provision, that if it doesn't happen within the total 6 months, then the agreement is just void, gone from the beginning, and might as well have been shredded.
Or approve a separate agreement. So now, one thing I would change is, I do, with all due respect, Josh, where it says in 4.4, the city agrees to work with the county in good faith to either amend the existing interlocal agreement between the Rockwall County and the city of McLendon-Chisholm dated November 12th to the owner's satisfaction for the purpose of. I would delete to the owner's satisfaction. We're not here to enter into that agreement for their satisfaction. If the county is good with it and we're good with it, that's all we care about. But that does purport to say, hey, you know what? We either want to amend this, we're either going to amend it, or we're going to issue or enter into a separate agreement that the county shall not apply. So I can see why they would want that in there. I have faith in us. I have faith in Commissioner Bailey that the first one is going to be amended, and it does say to amend it, and I want to amend it too, so I'm actually okay with that language in there, subject to the prepositional phrase to owner's satisfaction being removed.
How about to owners and city's satisfaction? I mean, the intention here is really to make sure that it's, if you guys go ahead and not unilaterally, but if the city and the county go ahead and amend this interlocal agreement and it still negatively affects our property, then we're kind of still at the square one,
I understand that, but I don't think we can agree to enter in a contract for, that's a third-party beneficiary. You would be, even partly, you could be a third-party beneficiary to that agreement, and I can't advise them. That would be, I think, in Article 3, Section 52, situation where you're extending the city's credit, money, et cetera, for the benefit of a private party. What I would hope would happen is, hey, Josh, this is what we think we're going to go to recommendation. If you've got any concerns about that, go ahead and let me know. That's what I would hope during the process would happen. So I don't think there's any issue with you being a semi-active participant in how we're doing the agreement with the county.
Sure, and we're totally on board with assisting in that manner. It just provides...
No, I just mean that way you'll know whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah, it just gives me a little bit of pause that it could be something that's an agreement between the two of y'all, even if I give input and you're on the same page as me. I mean, it still could end up in a scenario. I mean, I think we could find some language that we can agree on.
And we can say subject to, working that out. See, my concern is, again, I believe so much in Commissioner Bailey, we may have the greatest ILL ever, that no city in the history of the world has ever gotten a better one. But if you guys don't like it, I can recommend my client not enter into that agreement. That's where I'm coming from.
No, totally understand. Again, I think we just, some sort of out is all we're kind of looking for, or some sort of contractual obligation to, if y'all work something out that is negative,
I'm okay if you want to add language in there, if you determine that just add another one, like either a number 3 or a small 3i. Hey, if we determine that this is not satisfactory, we have the right to get out of the agreement, kind of like a withdrawal. Now that I'm okay with.
Okay.
That doesn't stop us from doing it. It lets us work with the county. But if you've got something that really you think is detrimental, but it's the greatest thing for us, it lets y'all out of it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think we can come up with some language in 4.4 or maybe potentially even in Article 5 in the term. Between those two provisions, I think we can come up with something that we can agree on.
Yeah. And so you could do subject to revisions of 4.4. Oh, sorry. Oh, thanks.
Right. Need to approve it.
You
and
mean
have
the
whatever
agreement? Yeah, you mean the agreement, right? Okay, yeah, yeah, I think we're gonna need at least a month on that. Right, that's what I think.
If we could get option B on the, if we could get option too little too I on the next agenda, that would be awesome. The agreement that I provided that simply states that this interlocal agreement as amended does not apply to this property. If we could at least get that on the agenda for consideration would be ideal for us.
I mean, that doesn't bother me, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that was still 4.4.
Yeah, that's all still under 4.4.
I'm going to include, so 4.4 and 4.5, are you okay with that?
I mentioned Article 5 as not 4.5. Article 5 is the term and termination of the agreement that I think I could pair some language in 4.4 related to giving the developer an out and kind of mimic some language in Article 5 related to term and termination is what I was getting at.
I would just say approve it subject to Mr. Josh and I amending 4.4, and that lets us get started on working on the interlocal with the county. That's what I would.
Yep, I'm good with that.
The what? Oh yeah, but no, you're approving the agreement subject to the amendment of 4.4,
Okay.
as we discussed. So that's going to include all of that.
All right. So I'm going to amend my motion for approval of the development agreement between the City of McLendon-Chisholm and DMDS Land Company LLC, subject to amending 4.4 and Article 5. And do I need anything?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
I know that's already in there.
Aye.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
We're going to end up going into executive session for a minute on this one, but before I knock my little hammer and say we're going into executive session, this is about filling the vacancy of Council Place 1. Ms. Hoffman is not here tonight. She has resigned her position. Obviously, each and every one of us, neighbors, friends, whatever, we all have our different opinions. We all have our different way of dealing with things. It's unfortunate, but Ms. Hoffman was subject to, best way I can describe it, hate emails and people voicing their opinion at her residence by using chalk and writing some ugly things in her sidewalk and driveway. And to her defense, it disturbed her enough she did not want to stay on as a council member and chose to resign. That's one thing, guys, I will not accept. We can be friends and neighbors and disagree with each other. I've had people tell me to my face they didn't like me and the way I did something. You know what? I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps to give you that right to feel that way. What I didn't do was agree to force feed somebody an agenda or force feed my opinion on you. I agree to disagree with everybody. It's unfortunate that that happened, but I think we're better than that as citizens, whether we live inside the city or whether we live in Rockwall County as a whole. We're Americans. We're the finest country in this world. People attack us all the time because we've done something right for over 200 years. that kind of behavior today, that's not right. I take it a little different. Several years ago, I had somebody write nasty things in chalk on my driveway. I laughed, washed it off, and went back in the house and was like, obviously you're afraid to come tell me to my face. And it happened twice and it went away. Because I didn't make a big deal about it. Okay? Doesn't make it right, but unfortunately, we lost a valued member of this council because it scared us. And that's no other way to say it. It scared her. Okay? But my idea of fear is different than somebody else's when it comes to me personally and my family. Okay? We're better than that. Let's make sure we remember that when we talk to each other. All right, that being said, it is 8:17. We are going to go into executive session in accordance with Texas Government Code 551.04, little a1, personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, i.e. city council member. We're now in executive session. Won't take long. We'll be back out, guys. And for all of you, I failed to do this at the beginning of the meeting, and it's called being respectful, recognizing that our council member was here in attendance tonight. Dennis, I apologize. I didn't recognize you in the beginning. So. Kind of like that thing on National Treasure. All right, it is 8:39. We're back from executive session. All right, guys. One of the things that we do have the ability to do is, you know, when a council member leaves a position, we have the ability to leave that position open or appoint somebody to fill the remainder of that term. Unfortunately, when I say the remainder of the term, it depends on when that person left that position. There are time frame constraints in there because Ms. Hoffman is no longer with us, and because it's prior to the latter part of February of 2024. An appointment is only until the May election of this year, because the last year of that term has to be considered a special election, even though it's going to be part of our normal May election. It's considered a special election for that 1 year term for that position. So we have the option of either filling it or leaving it open. With council, we had talked about it, so I'll entertain a motion if somebody wants to nominate somebody to fill that appointment from now until May.
I'm going to make a motion to appoint Paul Day to that position.
Okay, I've got a nomination to appoint Paul Day for the term until this May's election. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. It's now open. Is there any discussion on that? If not, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
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 All right, show that unanimous. Mr. Day, there he is. The one time that you will find, the one time you will find that you get a little tidbit of our inside of the executive session is one of my council members. Well, is he even here? I said, yeah, walk in. I didn't see him. So, I won't tell you who that was. Somebody did not see him walk in a few minutes ago. Paul, congratulations. You now get to have the stress and headaches that
The rest of us.
blessing and curse all right. Folks, with that being said, that particular position, Paul is only filling that until May's election. If he wants to continue that for the next year, for the remaining term, he still has to apply for that position like anybody else would. Please don't forget this year, we have multiple positions opening up. This is the year where the mayor's position and 2 council members is up for in May. And now with the resignation of one, we have a 3rd council member. So it's very imperative, if you're interested in what's going on or you want to be a part of this city moving forward, now's the time to consider that. Shelley, when is the earliest they can pick? Well, they can pick up a packet now. The earliest you can file is the 17th of January, right? And then that closes when? When's the final day in February? Okay. Yeah. So you can pick a packet up from City Hall now if you want to file for any one of those positions. You just can't turn it in before the 17th of this month. And then and you have to have it in by 5 p.m. on the 16th of February. One of the requirements is you had to be a city resident for 6 months or better. I can't remember. Yeah. Yeah. So you had to have lived within the city limits for at least 6 months. So just, you know, even though you see these different council positions, they may say place 1, place 2, place 3. They're not set in stone, meaning you have to live in a certain neighborhood to run for a certain position. That's not true. You can run for any one of those. So if you're interested in city government, I don't remember exactly. Is it a year? Okay, maybe a year. So, but the guidelines, Ms. Shelley can give you the guidelines. It's in the paperwork when you pick up the packet, so. All right, guys, that's all we have on that one. That one's completed. Let me go down on this. Updates, discussion, and direction of staff. Right now, I don't have anything. February's coming up. I will be gone I get to brag because I'm kind of curious and intrigued. I will be in Europe for 10 days in February. So, first time I've ever been to Europe. I've been to the Far East, but I've never been to Europe. So, you get to go to Rome and Barcelona, and the biggest thing for me is the little kid in me. We're flying in a double-decker airplane. You know, of all things, British Airways has double-decker or Britain has double-decker buses. British Airways has double-decker plane. I want to get on the plane just to see what 2 levels in an airplane look like, because I know what a 747 is like. I've never seen a plane that has 100 seats on the second story. So that part's going to be intriguing for me. You notice that there's a lot of kids and a lot of traffic and everything else out there. Please be safe. We're going into the winter months. They're talking about we're going to have another one of these Snowgeddon apocalypses or something probably in February. So please be careful. Now I'll turn it over to each and every one of my staff to see. Adrian, do you have anything?
Well, I'm on council still, so I'm not staff. You said staff. Sorry. Yeah. So I got the upcoming Rockwell ISD bond committee that I'm going to be attending on the 24th, and we are hosting our workshop with city council and P&Z on the Saturday, January 27th. So we're working, making sure that you RSVP to that, because we need to make sure that we have adequate number of supplies and stuff there. And anyway, that's pretty much all I have. Oh, and also I'll be adding committee members for the city event committee. This should be at the next meeting. So we got applicants already applied. I think it was like at least 2. Ooh, we got 3. Yay! So looking forward to that.
I have a road consortium meeting on 17th, and then I'll report on that the following meeting. And then I'll be joining Adrian with the bond committee on the 24th. I'm getting there early because I know they're providing lunch or dinner, 5:30. Yeah, yeah, come along.
We have new bricks laid over at the memorial. Former city council member Lorna Kippett was very instrumental in making that happen. So when you see her, please thank her.
All right, folks. Being that we've met everything on the agenda for tonight, it is 8:48. Meeting adjourned.